Hi class, this is JilMac, and today I'm going to talk about color. So students know if they have any questions or if there's anything in this video they don't understand or want to work with me one-on-one, all they have to do is give me a call. All right, so let's go out to our class website and see where does she have all this stuff about color. I mean, that's one of the nice things about having a website is that you can organize things easily. So here we are in web development, if that's the class that I'm teaching and showing you this video in, and all of our different assignments, and you scroll down and there's a left navigation called color and layout. And when we go to the color and layout page, it shows us the safe colors. You know, these colors are displayed on almost every computer, laptop, and tablet about the same. The yellow, the orange, the red, and the pink. There's also a page in your textbooks about color. And here I kind of go into it that if you're trying to get a feeling that yellow is optimistic and youthful, and what do you use it for? You use it to grab attention, and black is for power and sleek, and it's luxurious and sophisticated, and green shows wealth, and blue shows trust, you know, and red is energy and all of that. But when you're working on CSS and you've got all these crazy numbers and stuff, how do you know what the numbers are and all the different kinds of numbers? Well, my favorite one is Color Schemer. And Color Schemer because I can go down and I can change the palette and it will change all the colors kind of associated with it. And I can lighten the scheme by clicking the light, and I can bring that lightness up and I can darken it. And it shows me really quickly the RGB as well as the hex characters. And anytime that I want to change this main color to something else, I double click it, and now this is the main color. And these are all the supporting colors, and you know, depending on how you do it. So it's just a quick, easy, one little page kind of site. But there's more. There's also the scheme colors, you know, and scheme colors is you can look at different schemes, and they have, you know, what is it? Here's bootstrap color schemes, and here's sunset wedding color schemes, and another sunset wedding, and a Google material color. And, you know, they kind of have all of their favorites that you can go to, cool green grasses and Western photos and all of that. And you can look at them, and you can click on them, and you can get downloads about them. And that's just another way to look at colors. Give yourself time because colors take a long time. Color names and codes. This one is interesting because we can kind of give it an aquamarine, and it gives us the hex value of that aquamarine, but we kind of see it on a website. What does a hot pink look like, or what does an orange look like, or an olive, you know, and what does a linen look like when you're talking about, or a light steel blue or a light yellow. So this is kind of giving you color names and then the value. You know, if you're working with someone, saddle brown, well, to me saddle brown could be lots of different browns, or light slate gray, or light sky blue, and or lemon chiffon when they talk about lemon chiffon, or light cyan, or light goldenrod yellow, or rusty brown, or purple, or cyan. So, or deep dark salmon. So these are just kind of names and what they come up with. So that's always kind of fun when you're talking about names. Color design is where it gives us a whole bunch of different colors and kind of how they work together. And you can go along on this wheel. This is more green. Here if you want it a little bit yellower. And as I'm clicking on it, this palette is changing. And it's giving us, as you cursor over it, it's giving us the RGB, not the hex code. Probably you can also change the hue from 80%. You know, if we made it, oops, let's do it like a 50%. I always like to go somewhere in the middle. Which way am I going? And you can always, if the scrolling drives you crazy, you can just type it in. So here, as I'm moving around, as I go more toward orange and green and blue and purples, you get kind of how these colors look, and as you cursor over them, you get that. You also have links to Color Schemer and Color Picker and Color Palette and Color Wheel. Now, Color Picker is interesting because you can look at different colors. I happen to like, when I'm thinking about a color picker, I happen to like just using paint. So here's a blank paint, and if I want to grab something from the web, or just I'll just open up a file. Well, let me grab it from the web just so you can see how easy it is to grab things from the web. Suppose I wanted to go to Google. And here's this blue. I could right-click and I could just print screen and print my screen. That's a physical key on your keyboard. print screen, sometimes on the bigger one. Sometimes it will just say print screen, but you can print screen, and then you can go to your home and just paste from that. Oops. How about just doing Control V, Jill? Let me make this bigger. Paste from. I wanted to do it from, why is this so hard? So I'm going to hit my print screen key again. Oh, I think because I disabled it because I'm using this product. That's probably why it's not working. But normally it would. I'm just capturing the screen in a different way, and they're kind of colliding. So I'm just going to open some pictures, something from something Irish, because we're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. And suppose I wanted to grab this banner from St. Patrick's Day. And here it is. So here's this pretty banner. And now I want to pick a color. So here, and I'll make this bigger. So here I can go to my color picker tools, and I can pick this bright green. And then maybe I want to just create a box. And I want to just, since I picked that color, let's see if I can pick it again. There, it's picked up that color. And now if I want to fill this box with that color, I can just paint it. And if you don't really know what that color is, there's all kinds of color pickers in different products that you can pick the color. And they're almost always this little eyedropper, where I can pick a color, and maybe I want this very, very light green center here. And now if I wanted to, that's showing me this color. So color pickers are what can pick out a particular part of a photograph, and then you can either paint more, or in this case, if I wanted to change my font, maybe my font, I wanted to have this. So for my font, I want this nice dark green, and then I go to things and I can type JilMac, and I have that nice dark green because that's my color. It's not a black, which would be, this would be a black. So I don't know if you can see the difference between those, but that's what a color picker is, and it's in most graphic products. But we also have it here. So let's go back. So that kind of shows you, shows you those. And then you have, I think that was Color Designer. And then you have the things like Sherwin-Williams, where you have the websites that you can, this one's called Color Snap, and I've added some additional colors they're asking for feedback. But I've added some additional colors that if I wanted to, I could paint the walls green in this picture, or I could change them back to a light blue. And I can go down and, I can compare colors, or I can go to my color palette, or I can clear areas, or I can add a color. I'll click here, add a color. And from there I can pick, maybe I want something reddish. Maybe I want like a rose colored here. And then once I find what I want, I click this little plus, and now that rose color happens to be down in here. And so I can go back to my picture, and now if I want to see what is rose walls going to look like, I can do that. So color pickers are in lots and lots of different products. Let's go back to our oops. But now, before we go and get too excited about colors, let me just show you ColorZilla, and this is gradients. Okay, so we're starting to learn about CSS, and in CSS we have all of these tools. And I'm going to make this one smaller because I want you to look at the code, the CSS code over here. Now this is to make a gradient, and we'll pick green again. And you can see that I have these tools that I can drag. How light do I want it? Do I want to drag these colors so that I have this very, very light over here going to very, very dark? And as I'm moving these colors around, you can look over here in the code, and you can see that the code is changing ever so slightly. Let's see if we can make something look big here. You can start to see that, the 65% is changing. Now it's 74%, and all of this code is changing. And if I wanted this gradient in my CSS, I could just copy that. And I could bring up a product like an editor, Notepad, and I could just paste in this background colors and all of that, 74% versus 65%. This is the code that was generated by this gradient generator. So there's all these different kinds of generators that will help you write code. If you don't want it in hex format, you want it in RGB, or they have some new, the Helsas, and we talked about that in the last thing. You can do that. So you can also, you don't have to, use these things. You could just say for here, 50%. How about not 100%, Jill, but 50%. And it would change it, and you could also change the color by, if I wanted it to be pink in there somewhere, we could add a little pink or purple, and we could change, how much of the purple is in there, and do all kinds of different things. And this is now translated in our CSS. So generators are a way of doing things nice and easily. And then there's a whole bunch of different things. But at the same time, we have to balance out all this color with the fact that 20% of the people in the world have some form of color blindness. And my brother is one. In fact, there's quite a few people in my family that have different color blindness levels. But my brother Jeff is probably one of the most extreme, because he has what this is called detophilia, where it's no green. And if I wanted to see what that looked like, I could click on it, and it would show me, that if I wanted to see what detophilia looked like, this is all he sees. He only sees blue, and he only sees brown. So if you're going to a whole lot of trouble to do something, and I'm clicking back on normal, that has lots of reds in it, if your customer base does not have the ability to see red, that isn't going to do any good. Or they may be totally monochromatic, where all they see is black and white and they see no colors. But my brother does see color, and the color he sees is blue. Everything else to him is brown unless something is blue. And so you can take the test to see if you are colorblind, or if somebody in your family is colorblind. Statistics about 1 in 12 people have some sort of color deficiency. That's about 8% of men. Oh, I thought it was 20%. I think if you add everything up. But just remember for accessibility, that you don't want to just have one way to do something. Click the red button, because 10% of the customers may be just they don't see red. And if the majority of your customers are men, then that's going to be a higher percentage than women. If different families or different trades seem to have different kinds. If you're an electrician and you can't see color and there's all different colored wires, that's probably going to make being an electrician really hard. But if you're a digger like my brother is, he operates all this big, huge machinery. And really, all he's ever digging most of the time is dirt. Everything being brown doesn't bother him because that's all he sees is brown. But he has a very keen sense of texture, so that if you don't see color, you probably see texture. My brother can tell me, Jill, go down in that hole and grab those 3 bottles. They're right over there in the corner. And to me, it looks like a mud hole. But my brother can tell outlines. He can tell the textures of things. He knows what stuff is, even if it's covered in mud, because that's where some of his strengths are. So for somebody like that, or even you might have an owner that is colorblind for a particular thing, and he or she may be more interested in textures than they are in physical colors, and so that's kind of interesting. But you always want to make things accessible, so you don't want to have just one way of doing things, just one kind of web page to look at, or one kind of audio to listen to, or one kinds of videos. So there's just lots of different things. Creating a QR code, if you ever needed to create a QR code, that's in here also. That's these little QR codes. You can create a QR code here to do things, and using Google Draw, all sorts of different fonts, the Google Web fonts, optical illusions, data visualization and information design, some different TED Talks, that's good too. So go out, have fun with colors, but realize that you don't want to have everything revolve around a color, and have fun. So this is JilMac. Until the next video, have a good day. And remember, nice deep cleansing breaths.